Well, I had a title that I had in mind, and somebody else used it. Just happened to
Oh, the
hear.
nerve.
I just happened to hear a radio interview with her, and I thought, oh, I can't use that now. I mean, that would be rude. Just to go, I'll do that too. So I told Craig Ross, my old friend and producer of this record and many records, and he said, why don't you just call it Patty Griffin? You've never done that. And it was a great idea. Yet another great idea from Craig. Every time I write, I think for maybe the past 25 years as a songwriter, I've tried to, writing for me is, it's almost selfish. It's like exploring what's going on with me and trying to discover sort of what's on the inside that you may not be aware of through just making sounds and making music. In writing the songs for this record, I was going through some difficulty physically. I had a big illness to sort of overcome, and I sort of made contact with that when I started writing without knowing what it was, and then once I knew what the illness was, I was sort of writing through that for a while, and then writing through recovering from it, and it also I felt like, for me anyway, the songs, they're about discovering things, that parts unknown about yourself, and also resilience, and I feel like that somehow or other when I sing them, it also reflects my world outside too, and the environment of the world. So to me, there's a something when you go down deep inside with poetry, and you sort of find the words to say and find the music to play to it. It does reflect what's all around you when it works. So that's sort of how I feel about their songs on this record.
Yeah, I sensed that because I played the album. The opening track on the album is a song called Mama's Worried.
Yeah.
And that was the immediate thing that came to me, that you were going through something very difficult, and obviously the pain of that, and you brought that into the song. And is this you drawing on your own experiences to connect to other people who may be going through similar experiences?
Well, some of that was that. Actually, when I wrote that song, I was really thinking more, I was feeling more about the environment and more about Mama's the earth,
I see.
And
just shows you how songs are open to interpretation, doesn't it?
It's the first song I wrote for the record, and I didn't know that I had cancer, and I which I'm doing really well from right now, but I didn't know it yet, and so that was sort of something inside of me was poking its head up.
But it just shows you how you can interpret songs differently when you hear them.
It's interesting,
isn't it?
We're complex creatures.
Mama's worried all the time. She tells everyone she's fine, but she's hurting bad and worried so. She don't want no one to know. There's a rumbling below, out on the sea, an unnatural glow. People with nowhere to go, and nothing in their eyes. We ain't seen Daddy for a while. He walked away, his worried smile was the memory he gave to me. We don't know where he's gone, and Mama's worried all the time. She tells everyone she's fine, but she's hurting bad and worried so. She don't want no one to know. People in their stylish clothes, they look at us and turn up their nose. A hunger deep inside me grows and never goes away. She starts singing in the morning. She works and sings all day, singing sad, singing low. For a while the worry goes away. And mama's worried all the time. She tells everyone she's fine, but she's hurting bad and worried so. She don't want no one to know.
I think women right now all over the globe are, like I've never seen before, really, really trying to root themselves and understand what real power is for themselves, and not what they've been told, for what everyone's been told about power. And so these songs are, some of them are, filled with tears, women's tears, but I think there's also a lot of, for me, singing them, this feeling of discovering the feminine and how strong it really is, and how if you're a woman, it's not something that most women in the world were ever taught. So but that's starting to change, I think, a little bit.
Isn't she a river? Doesn't need a diamond to shine. You can't really have her. But you can hold her for a time. Takes an army just to bend her. Be careful where you send her, 'cause you can't hold her back for long. A river is just too strong. And she's a river. Arms made out of silver, moving in a crooked line. Carrying some dreamers off into the end of time. To behave, just let her arms unwind, ever changing and undefined. She's a river. You can ride easy when she's slow, walk across her when she's slow, follow wherever she goes. She's a river. Run for cover when she's mad, drown in her tears when things are bad. Don't you ever forget it then. She's a river. Isn't she a river? She doesn't need a diamond to shine. So people call you clever. She's been here a long, long time, and she's seen so many faces and places down the line. She's been left for dead a million times, keeps coming home, arms open wide, every changing and undefined. She's a river. Oh, oh, oh. She's a river. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, ooh. She's a river.
I grew up in a town called Old Town, Maine, and I went to see my mother, who's really, really getting up there in years, and I part of getting sick was not getting to see her because we live pretty far apart. I live in Texas, and so as soon as I was feeling a little healthier, I went up to see her, and I was driving her around our town, and had seen some places I hadn't seen for maybe 30 years. And I think the story in my town is so much the story in so many American towns that the industry was there and the industry went away, and everybody's lives were built around that. And not only were everybody's lives built around that, but also the environment was somewhat annihilated from it. And so they're dealing with a lot of pollution, a lot of, difficulties that come from having had at one point 5 factories right on the river where I grew up, and then it went down to 3, and then it went down to 2, and then it went down to 1, and now there are none. And so everybody there, I think not everybody there, but a lot of people there had to leave, and a lot of people that stayed are really, really struggling with what to do next. And I think I grew up in a time where we thought we were going to be directed there by our government, maybe, or some sort of system would kick in to sort of help us along and figure out what to do next, so we didn't have to leave. And that hasn't really happened. The only option that's sort of come up for people is to go to join the army. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just a very American story, and I've never really wanted to even look at it. And I realized that I'm always going to be connected to this place and these people, and so I wrote that song.
Two rivers from is golden brown. Most beautiful as the light is dying. Most beautiful as the day goes down.
You know, this whole song sprung out of listening to Screamin' Jay Hawkins, and his story is so fascinating. He's the guy that wrote "I Put a Spell on You Because You're Mine," and it's, you know, he did sort of this comedic stuff, but the backstory there is that he wanted to be an opera singer, and I don't know this for certain, but he was a black man in the 40s and 50s, and I know that Nina Simone was cut out of that world, you know, not accepted into the schools that you would need to get really into that work. I don't know his backstory, but I'm just putting two and two together. Maybe it's the same thing. And he's sort of so talented, and he brought this, you know, theatrical beauty, like incredible comedic theatrical stuff to his work. And there's this operatic voice, which can also slip right into the blues in this beautiful way. Amazing piano player. And a lot of his stuff is funny, but there's a lot of pain in it, too. There's something in there. And so he's in that song somehow for me because, you know, there's a line in the song that says, it's killing too many dreamers, and I just want to tear that old machine down. I feel like if we're creating reality, maybe we could create reality with our dreams and our hopes and wishes and thoughts, and in a direction where there's just more love, more nature, more freedom, more, I don't know how to fix any of this stuff, but these are just some of the things I hope for.
The hourglass never really runs out of saying. You get to the end and you just start it upside down again. It's like a book where the story never ends. The plot keeps turning around. I was dancing with my eyes closed. The music had me in a trance. 6 o'clock in the morning came around. I was the last one of the dance. Morning takes a stiff upper lip, a turned up counter and some very strong hips. A strong will for when the money slips and they ain't calling you a lady now. Sister told me some time ago, there's no reward for last sheep. You better learn to look sharp. Keep it in the lines, don't go swimming where the river's too deep. But I knew all along that that just wasn't me. I was swimming in the river with a ghost and debris. Shouldn't have personally tried to be free instead of giving up and just pretending to be. Oh yeah, morning leaves you in a strange place, a dirty mirror and a stranger's face. Nowhere to run to Sometimes that life is a dream. If it is, I've been dreaming of a crazy machine that's been choking out the love, killing too many dreamers, and I just wanna tear that old machine down. So ask me what I would dream of in his place. I dream of a forest where we could all meet face to face, where love could be love and dreams could be dreamers. Dreamers dreaming of love and its many wonders. Dreamers dreaming of love. One more time now. Dreamers dreaming of love.
I'm late to Billie Holiday. Not that I haven't been fully aware of her, but as somebody who listens to her a lot, that started for me about 2.5 years ago. I had a dream about her. I was sleeping off jet lag in London, and I had a very clear dream about Billie Holiday as a beautiful young woman smiling at me. And she was singing in a barn. And I woke up in the middle of the night and started downloading all these records. I just took it as a sign, and I've learned so much just about presence, performance, honesty, and how powerful going all the way down is for a listener. You know, she sort of carries you down into these dark depths and guides you through these things that are hard to do on your own. I'm a big fan of Billie Holiday's. I couldn't listen to anything but Billie for quite a few years in a row. Just a while back, and I was thinking about her wildlife, and I had heard different stories about her early years, but one of them that I heard, they said that she was without her mom for a very large portion of her young years, and I always wondered about that and being in the sadness of her voice. So I wrote this song that's about Billie.
I guess you're never gonna come back from me, Ma, with a suitcase of pretty dresses and shoes. One for you and one for me, Ma, and perfume for the ladies looking after me too. There was a chair beside the door which you walked through, wearing your sad eyes of brown. You'd stand beside me and we'd wind the Victrola and sing along together, make the sweetest sounds. I used to think it might be who I am. Maybe who I am wasn't right, and I wonder if you miss me the same way. Lonely day after lonely night, but I know you must have had a good reason. You had a good reason, alright. I guess you're never gonna see me shining. All the lines of people winding around the block. The world is mine and it's a microphone in my hand, singing with the band, my toast of the town. Sometimes I think I see you out there smiling. Your pretty sad eyes singing along. And all that one summer earth with no ceiling, oh, always in a feeling like I'll never come down. I used to think it might be who I am. Maybe who I am wasn't right. And I wonder if you must be the same way. Lonely day after lonely night. But I know you must have had a good reason. Yeah, had a good reason.
I wasn't sure I would physically be able to get back what I had lost. There's a certain period of time you go through. The radiation is just the beginning of the fatigue, and that lasted a long time for me. And then they put you on drugs for a little, everybody goes on these drugs to sort of, which I found sort of diminish things even further. So at a certain point, I found out getting up on a stage, there's just nothing there, So I thought, uh-oh, what do I do now? I didn't go to college. I don't know, I might have to reconfigure here. But I do love to write. I do love music. And so I just started writing from where I was at. And thanks to Craig Ross, he said, let's just sing from where you're at too. And so we started recording when I was still pretty weak. And he said, we can re-record as much as you want. We're just going to take our time. We'll do this over a year. And I'll go to your house, no pressure, no studio fees, And so he, bless his heart, would haul his gear in and haul it back out at the end of the day. And amazing guy, amazing friend. And on top of being a brilliant producer. And so that's how we did it. And some of the early performances are on the record, and they're not very strong sounding to me, but there's something in them that, we just kept them anyway.
Yeah. What would be one? Would you tell people about one of those?
Yeah, Bluebeard is really rough. Yeah. that was like take 22.
It's like, have we passed the point of diminishing returns here?
Yeah. I was like, I think just so angry. By the time I got to it, it sounded right.
Maiden said I'd marry you. I'll be yours and I'll be true. I'll consent to be your bride on my days that you're his side. That is how I live my life. Maiden no more, yeah. Mother and her sister won. The man, he was not natural born. His eyes were black and his beard was blue, but the maiden saw on the true. There was nothing they could do. Maiden no more, yeah. Man gave her a ring of keys, fastened love down on his such a weight to bear. Then the man, he rode away, and the bride went wild night and day. Only to find she wanted more. She had to kiss, she found the door. A trail of blood was on the floor. Smealing was not there before. Many no more, yeah. Many no more, yeah. Many no more, yeah. Many no more. Man came back to take her life, to cut her with a cold grain knife, to lay her there with all the rest, blood and bones and faded dress, to cast her to the deep darkness. But the man with his intentions stated, found he'd underestimated the forces of the sea and the sand, the light and the life of the land. All rose up with 100 hands, all rose up and killed that man. All rose up with 100 hands, all rose up and killed that man. Made it no more, made it no more, made it no more.
I had to do the title, set up the tracks for mastering on a plane ride, and it happened really quickly. I went boom, boom, boom. I just tried to think in my brain how that was going to sound, and I wrote the list really quickly. And I looked at it. I felt like the record was divided into male and female. The first half is female, and the second half is male. And the songs are focused on female, and I didn't do it on purpose. It just sort of landed that way, and it made me notice, how specifically I'd written about men and women, doing it that way. So I really just put it together musically, but it landed in a theme.
I came to the sea, older than I was before, looking for a love that may not come again. I came through the clouds on a pair of melting wings, much too late, tired and falling. There was no moon at all in the sky tonight. Some Sometimes the moon has no strength to satellite. She falls into the sea, lays her secrets there, but only for a while. She's just stalling. I call to the sea and I say, here I am. Hour after hour, loud as I can. I said, tell me, oh friend, where to, what next, what now, what to, what next, what now. Take me to the sea of things that are no more. Wake me tenderly from all my dreams. Sing me lullabies from the ocean floor. Far away, far below and falling. 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 Far away, far below and falling.
So a song that I wanted to ask you about that crushes me in a good way on the record is Luminous Places, where you sing about having a voice and what a voice is. And so is that song connected to that time?
It is. That was one of the earlier songs on the record. I wrote one song before getting diagnosed, and then I didn't write anything else. And then I was in the middle of radiation treatments, and at the same time, a friend of mine was going in Austin. Was a musician friend of mine was going through treatment for stage 4, everything. He had cancer everywhere, and he was in really bad shape, but honestly, he had experience having cancer, and he took me under his wing, and he would meet me for coffee after my radiation once a week, and he would just waddle into this cafe after getting dropped off by somebody because he insisted on doing it for as long as he could. So I mean, that was what was going on, and I thought, wow, we've been musicians, and like, have we done anything with our lives? You know, you give up. You know, he and I didn't have families. We didn't have, you know, we've sort of given up a lot to do this, and I thought, have we given enough? You know, so I wrote Luminous Places to sort of explore not just me, not just my work and my work so far in the world, but his too. So it's kind of wrapped into that song for me.
That flows out of these luminous places. Love flies down in the deep of the sea. It falls out of the sky in millions of pieces on me. I've been over these highways for years in the dark, crisscrossing the land like a stitch on the wall, rolling through the night while millions were sleeping under every phase of the moon, under every phase of the moon. Wind blows down hard in the night with the ghosts of the brave and the damned, howling their song, locked in their fight over every inch of this land, over every inch of this land. And they say what is lost will be what is won, what is done will be done and undone again. They say don't think for a second that you won't become one more voice on the wind, one more voice on the wind. All that I am is a dream that I had. One morning so early and blue, it flew over the river and the freezing bus stops on a song that I sang to you, a song that I sang to you. The flows out of these luminous places. Love lies down in the deep of the sea. It falls out of the sky in millions of pieces on me.
I definitely drew from my own experience on this a lot more than I have in recent records. I've always done that. I mean, I think that the inner life is the way to go. And even when I'm doing characters, I'm using my own world way down in there to sort of figure out what animates them, to sort of touch on that. Yeah, but definitely, I think the whole experience of being ill, losing my identity as a singer for a while, and it did, in a good way, put me into No Time to Lose. Might as well get down to some things that I haven't gotten down to yet. I wrote about growing up poor. I haven't really done that in a kind of direct way. And Mom is Worried, where I come from. Those are things that are drawn out of my world a little bit. And I wrote about waitressing, and that was formative for me. The song Coins is, I waited on tables in Harvard Square for quite a long period of time, so I got to see Harvard students, all different kinds, amazing people from all over the world, and some people were just amazing. They were lovely, and I waited on them. Not like I had big relationships with them, although I did work with Harvard students too. But we used to have an express lunch in this place, and it was really cheap, and it would attract the business school students. And I don't want to hear from any Harvard Business School students, but there was one particular guy that I remember one day feeling a chill from. He was so cold, icy cold. And I finally connected the dots. This guy, maybe all of the greed in the world. It was the 80s, laissez-faire economics, and they were very notoriously cheap, the B school students. I'm sorry to say that. Not all of you, I'm sure.
As a waitress, you can say that.
Not all of you, I'm sure, out there, if you happen to be listening. But this particular guy, there's a way that people can make you feel invisible, and it's almost like you've been killed off, And that was that feeling, and I wrote about that in this song.
I thought I was rid of you once. A couple coins on the table. Forgetting when you left that day. You were young and angry and able. I'd hoped I'd seen the last of you. No more would I fetch your coward. When I fed you for a tip that day, you were young and hungry for power. And it still came on a beam of sun, natural as a cancer. You would never stop till all was won. The young man with all the answers. That shape of love on every face goes to lost inside you. everyone else was just as lost. And it's sad because you never knew. History is on your side. Who am I to deny you? Fiefdom for your fragile pride. Who would dare defy it? And it still came on a beam of sun. Natural as a cancer. Bow down to the Lord and the Son, to the man with all the answers.
I think it's interesting now to just to think about, you know, we are a nation of immigrants, right? And you live in Texas now, so there's a lot of border talk. And it's just, it seems like that you're describing such a rich cultural heritage with your parents coming from different places and coming together and raising a family in Maine. It's just, seems like so, you know, we are so enriched by these different traditions and cultures.
Well, you know, if you're not an indigenous person and you're not, and your family wasn't, you know, your ancestors weren't brought here by force. You came here to build a better life.
Yeah.
And my family actually came from, my father's family I know came from the lowest of circumstances. You know, they were just completely poverty-stricken and starving. So they were here for that reason, and a lot of people. I have a song about being Irish American in my show, and I always ask the audience how many Irish Americans, and there's usually a 10% at least.
Yeah.
And that means there's a lot of people that came over on those boats that were desperate. And I feel like this about, you know, the situation at the border is completely complex. We all know it's complex. But I think there is enough. There's enough for all of us. We just have to figure out how to share it properly. And it's just common sense to me to not build future generations of very sad, intolerant people who are subject to the whims of the next loony, you know, to come along and manipulate them. You know what I'm saying?
Sure,
I mean,
yeah.
we need to be taking very good care of people. That's just common sense. If you can't find the compassion in your heart to do that, use your noggin. You know, I mean, it should be a compassionate thing, of course. I mean, that's where it starts for me, and I think most people I know. But it doesn't even make any sense to me to neglect people because they are very, very desperate and poor.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
and
also
treat
doesn't
them
make
so badly.
We came across the ocean for the price and the passage. Came across the ocean for 1 English pound. We slept in a hay bed with a sheep and a shit, yeah. We slept in a hay, me and 3 boys from our town. Hunger did surround us, came on like a black sea. Everything it came for, riding on the ground. It was sent for money, and as we had none, all the world around us came tumbling down. Four boys from Chile going to a factory in a place of foreign man calling on Ontario. Four boys from Chile, 40 days out on the sea, that home of family. Oh, they let you go. to drown. Hunger makes you nothing, and I am nothing, just another hungry boy washed upon the sand. Lucky boys who did survive the cruel deeds of cruel men will live a short and lonely life in a foreign land. Poor boys from Toledo going to a factory in a place of foreign man calling on the chariot. Poor boys from Toledo, 40 days out on the sea. One of them poor boys was me. I wanted you to know.
The first line, I'm sitting in a dark room losing track of my mind. I mean, that is, you know, I think there's so, I just want to say we've been on tour for like a week and a half, and every single gig, everybody's remarking on it in the band that people are just, there's a different level of energy, a different level of emotion in the crowds that I've ever experienced before. And I think it's because people are tired and want change and don't have any idea what to do about it. And the wheel is sort of talking about those things that go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And for so long, we've just kind of been going, well, that's just how things are. That's just how things are. You know, we can't do anything about racism. It's always going to be there. We can't do anything about war. It's just always going to be. Well, maybe it is. But right now, it seems as though the presence of those things is almost like dominating us. And I defy that. I don't think that it has to continue. I don't think racism has to continue in this country. And because it hasn't ever been eradicated from the planet doesn't mean that it can't be. And I don't think that war, because it's never been eradicated from the planet among humans, doesn't mean it can't be. And I think us thinking about life that way may be something we need to start doing and really getting into the nitty-gritty of how that might happen, what we change in ourselves first and how we bring that out into society. And I'm not talking a short game. I think we're talking many generations, but we have to start somewhere.
Turkey on mine. Here's a
And your dogs were present, I'm sure. And so
Yeah, I think they're on. Zeke is on River somewhere in there. If you really listen carefully, you can hear Zeke in the background barking.
He's the
at
singer.
somebody. No, Sal is the singer.
Sal is the singer.
Sal is the little brown guy with the white face, and he's part beagle.
Oh.
And he's Chihuahua-esque, but there's definitely a beagle in there. One time we were walking by a beagle, and they sort of made eye contact and like, oh, hello, and kept going. And he has little things that are, like beagles. So I'm pretty sure he's part beagle. And I've never had to help him sing. He just started all on his own.
We have to tell them about this photo.
Yeah, there's a photograph on the back of the record that was taken by a great photographer that I worked with, Michael Wilson. He's a great portrait photographer. And we finished the photo shoot. He sort of recognized that I was done doing it and that I put on my real clothes and sat around. And he said, let's go sit you in this chair and you can relax and unwind and, maybe I'll shoot and maybe I won't. And the dogs came over and I was just kind of trying to show him what good singers they were. Because Zeke actually didn't know how to sing when I got him. He's just full on Chihuahua, not their speciality. And Sal's been teaching him how to pull the long notes and hold them out. So I got him going, and Michael snapped the shot, and it's one of my favorite pictures of dogs. Period. Exactly. And I'm in it. We're all singing. It's really cute.
I would love to have a poster of this one day. It's one of my favorite photos of just three beings actually really enjoying life. I love it.
Yeah.
And the artwork, I really cannot say enough about the cover of this new album. You have pomegranates there.
Yeah, that's Mishka Westell. I had some ideas for it, a lot of ideas, and she put them all together in this beautiful way. And she's brilliant. She's a brilliant poster artist. Very collectible, I think, too. She's got so many pieces.
She's hand drawing?
She does some hand drawing, yeah. This is colorized photograph, and then there's hand drawing involved in this, too.
Beautiful.
Here's what I remember. It really was that tender. The day I gave my heart away. The day that I surrendered. Here's the thing that I recall. Never had that much at all, and I never knew until the fall. Before I never cared at all. Started to know what they mean, that everything is just a dream. A string of memories and steam and disappearing days. Life is a foreign land, impossible to understand. Once we had the precious bird in hand and let him slip away. Here's the thing I recollect. always was a little derelict. He added poison to the wine. I told myself that it was fine. He said, this is just the way things are. As long as anyone remembers when I started to agree, and then I started to remember.
You can approach songwriting from a craft thing, and there's people that do that, and they work on their left brain, and it turns out incredible.
You mean the people who are like, I get up every day, I sit down, and I write.
Right. And I've done that, and you can still get, the jewels to show up. They still pop out of the ground that way. But I think I prefer swimming around in the muck and seeing if I can get down to something new that I don't know about myself. And I do that by singing and playing, sitting at a piano and singing, just singing notes, or sitting with a guitar. And that's the way I prefer to do it. I feel like that is might even be my job. If there's something I'm supposed to be doing while this body is on the planet, it might be to... I always feel like I'm my most at home in myself when I am writing from that place and singing from that place where I am really vulnerable. And it's not easy to do, and but I think that it's what serves an audience the best for me.
Nothing could ever make me love you less, though I confess I've tried and I wished I could. We weren't the worst and we weren't the best, and just beneath it all, maybe a little good. A million words that lost their way, desperate to climb the silent walls, to touch the heart of something true and say we're just the same after all. Maybe we're just the same after all. Crawling out of the wilderness, it's just a wild heart, all we got left. We're just as lost as we were before, with a desperateness that's hard to ignore. I can't decide which scares me more, the iron will or the lonely call, the feeling that we've been here before, and that we're just the same after all, that we're just the same after all. we were just the same after all.